You don't want to tell you up there singing, huh?
Dez. It was grubby and painful now that I look back at it. But when I was growing up, I didn't really know better. But there wasn't a lot of resources, not a lot of people there. So my mother and father almost had 4 sets of twins. I got off lucky I didn't have one, thank God. Double trouble. But my father died when I was 3. He was depressed. How my grandma had said it was, he didn't like that he didn't have us, so he hung himself at their house. So that was the end of that. And then my mom illegally took us, so we stayed with her for maybe another year or so, and then she ditched us. Probably just because she knew that she couldn't take care of us anymore. You know, 7 kids, not a lot of income. It gets pretty hard. When I was 8, I was adopted, and basically the whole reason why we were adopted was because the parents that I had were looking for kids because they couldn't, produce their own. Excuse me. And so they had us for about a year, and then they actually did have their own kid. And then, as you can imagine, kind of went downhill from there. We were little kids, and because we were little and we made mistakes, we made them mad. They felt that it was a need to punish us physically, and that was hard, and traumatizing for all of us growing up. Being from what we had already gone through.
Well, I guess I was growing up with a neighbor, I guess in country miles, I guess you can call a neighbor, not a few miles away the neighbor, or the closest neighbor you have. But as that kind of grew through elementary school and middle school, and then high school really hit, where I could really tell that Desmond was having a hard time, and he was a close friend of mine, and we always hung out off stuff. So I introduced him to a Christian rapper, Andy Mineo.
So cool, by the way.
Yeah,
so cool.
and through that kind of talked about certain things, because Andy Mineo grew up homeless. Well, he had a homeless part in his life, and kind of through that for his struggles, and the kind of music that he had was not like any regular rap or hip hop that there is. And through that kind of sparked his interest in kind of the stuff that he lived and God's love for him. So I gave him a life book the next day and told him to read it. I was kind of blown with him. Like, here, read this book. I want you to read it. I didn't really tell him much what it was about.
Yeah, you pretty much just shut up after that.
Here, Desmond, take this and read it. I'm like, I'm gonna check with you later to see if you're okay. Kept showing him some more rap, and then about 3-4 months later, we came home from, I think it was a friend's fire. We came home from, listened to Andy Mineo again. And that's when he really started to kind of ask. We had some deep conversations about more questions about it. And then I gave him another life book, the second life book, because I didn't know what he did with the first one.
I don't even know what he did with the first one.
He didn't know where it went. I'm like, you know what? I'm giving you another one. So I gave him that. And then,
well, the first time I was actually asked to youth group was from Katie Wanta, who had asked me, I think, 2 years ago on a Wednesday. And I wasn't too sure about it, the whole church thing, and I was really close to her, so I'm like, okay, maybe I'll try it, but then I just kind of backed out about it twice. But then it just kept getting popped up, and so I'm like, you know what, I'll just give it a chance.
And growing more and more. I remember we were in small groups, and that night we didn't even talk about the lesson you talked about, PJ. We just put that aside, and it was just like a question time, and just like the feeling of the Holy Spirit there, and just the questions of knowing that his heart hungered for the love and companionship with Christ, and that was a really eye-opener. And then we ended up going to districts, and that was, I think, a really life-changing moment for him to see everything, and that he's not alone in any of his struggles.
Exactly. Oh man, if there was ever a mind-blowing moment, just over, not just spontaneously, but over the course of a few days, man, that was pretty cool. I know, there's the fun aspect of it, but then there's so many believers. There was music playing, and of course, everybody had their hands up, just really vibing. And the guy had asked if there were any people that would like to reclaim their relationship with Christ. And before I knew it, I was just standing up, my knees knocking together. And I stood up, and not a lot of people did, and I'm looking around me like, what am I doing? But then I just kind of looked up at stage, and I'm like, you know what, this is right. I think God's pointing me in the direction of, of being a person who I want to be, to start over, I guess. Because I had a really rough start. So I think he's just trying to help me get through to putting everything back to zero, and then once I pick up again, hopefully after graduation through the Marines, to really start over and start making a name for myself and helping other people. You know?